You were away for 2 weeks. Vacation, or work, or a stay that lasted longer than planned. And when you came back, you expected her. That moment of joyful reunion. But she barely paid attention to you. A brief glance, maybe a scent test. Then, back to sleeping. And you wondered, does she even remember me? The answer is yes, more than you think, and deeper than you know. Today I'll explain how your cat's memory really works, and why her apparent indifference at your return is the opposite of forgetting. Stay until the end, because the last part changes everything. Let's begin with what research says about cat memory. Cats don't have episodic memory like humans. That means they don't store memories as stories. No, I remember when we once. But they have something else, something that might be more powerful. They have emotional memory. That's the kind of memory that doesn't store what happened, but how it felt. Not the situation, the feeling in the situation. And this feeling is more lasting than any story. It sits deeper. It fades more slowly. It's not overwritten by new experiences. It stays. That's the reason cats never forget people who once caused them pain. Even if the person changes, even if years pass. The body remembers. The reflex stays. And that goes in both directions. A cat who was loved by a person carries that feeling with her. Even if he was away for 2 weeks. Even if he comes back and she doesn't jump and celebrate. The feeling is there. It's unforgotten. Now let me explain why the return doesn't look the way you expected. Cats aren't dogs, and I say that without judgment. But I want to pause for a moment and ask you something. Have you ever noticed that your cat was cautious at first after a long absence, and then suddenly came closer than usual? That's no coincidence. That's emotional memory in action. She is stored. This human was gone. Now she's back. I want to be sure she's staying. And this need for confirmation, for you're still there, you're still you, shows itself as seeking closeness. Not immediately, but after processing, after the first moment. And the next time you come back from a long trip, wait. Give her time. She'll come. And when she comes, that's a very conscious decision. Dogs show joy loudly. They jump, bark, lick. That's their way. That's their evolution. Cats show joy differently, more subtly, more slowly, more physically. If you come back from a long absence and your cat touches you, that's expression. If she follows you briefly and casually from room to room, that's expression. If she settles near you without fanfare, that's expression. That's not indifference. That's cat language. And when you learn this language, you'll see she was never indifferent. She simply didn't make a grand gesture because she doesn't have to. Because she's secure enough to know that you're there. Now comes something that particularly fascinates me. Cats remember routines, times, sequences. If you come home every day at 6 p.m., your cat is at the door at 5:55 p.m. Not because of magic, because of memory and inner clock. She has internalized this pattern. It's part of her world. And when this pattern is suddenly interrupted, when you don't come for 2 weeks, she registers that. Not as sadness the way we know it, but as deviation. As something isn't right, something is missing. The rhythm is disturbed. And when you come back, the rhythm stabilizes again. Not with fanfare, simply back to normal. And that is, when you look at it this way, actually the most beautiful thing. Not drama, not celebration, just normalcy. The normalcy that says, you belong here. You've always belonged here. And now you're back where you belong. That's not indifference. That's the deepest welcome a being without words can speak. Now I want to tell you about a concrete research finding. scientists have measured how long a cat's short-term memory is active. The result, about 10 minutes, for information that isn't emotionally significant. But emotional memories have a different half-life. They last months, years, sometimes an entire life. That's the decisive distinction. Your cat doesn't remember what you had for breakfast yesterday, but she remembers how it feels when you come home. She remembers your scent, your voice, the way you feel. That sits in her. That's not forgotten. But here comes the most beautiful part. Cats recognize their person again immediately after a long time. There are reports of cats who return to their original owners after years. Not just because of their sense of direction, but because of scent memory. Your scent is for her an unmistakable, unforgettable characteristic. Like a face for us, like a voice for us. You are stored in her, not as a story, as a sensation. As, this person means safe, means warm, means here. That's unforgettable. That's deeper than language. Now I want to tell you about a moment many cat owners know. You came back after a long time. The cat looked at you, and then turned around and walked away. And you thought, she's angry, or she's forgotten me. But that's not right. Neither interpretation is right. What really happens when a cat turns around and walks away? She's processing. The sudden return of a person who was missing is a major sensory event. A lot of scent, a lot of voice, a lot of movement. And a cat sometimes needs a moment to process that. The walking away isn't a sign of rejection. It's a sign of, I need a moment. And then she comes back, sometimes in an hour, sometimes in the evening. And then she's with you, as if nothing happened. Because for her, nothing happened. You were gone. You're back. The world is complete again. That's not holding a grudge. That's not punishment. That's the real thing. No drama. Simply, you're here again. And now comes the last thing I want to tell you today. You don't need to create special memories with her for her not to forget you. You don't need to give her a special experience. No big trip. No extraordinary moment. What she stores is the everyday. The way you move in the morning, your scent when you wake up, the sound of your footsteps, the hour at which you have breakfast, the tone of your voice when you speak to her. That's her memory of you, and it's complete. Nothing is missing. Nothing special is needed. And I want to tell you now something I consider the most important in this video. In a world full of performances, where everyone wants to show how good they are, how much they feel, how deep they love, your cat simply lives, with you, in daily life, without effort. She doesn't need to prove her affection. She shows it through presence. She doesn't need to demonstrate her memory. It's simply there. She doesn't need to say, I remember you. She simply does. And that's perhaps the purest form of love I know. Not performed, not shown, simply lived. Day by day, moment by moment, unforgettable through pure presence. You are, simply through your existence, unforgettable to her. That's the most beautiful thing about cat memory. It doesn't remember the grand. It remembers the real. And the real is you, every morning, every evening, in every ordinary moment with her. That's enough. That was always enough. Write us in the comments. Was there a moment when you noticed that your cat remembered something? Something you had almost forgotten, but she hadn't. We read every comment, because in each one is a small miracle. The miracle of a life that carries you, quietly, deeply, unforgettably. And that's the miracle that happens every day in your apartment. No effort, no staging, no proving. Just two beings, a story that no one writes down. But that happens anyway, in every routine, in every glance. In every moment when she's there and you're there. That's memory. That's love. That's the unforgettable. Cherish it. It belongs to you both. Every day, without end.